Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Instacart, Doordash, and other apps appear to be trying to roll back Seattle's new laws for gig workers. So as we all know, Seattle has implemented a new law adding quite a number of things to their minimum rates, and that has led to less orders on the platform. Gig companies aren't too happy about it because they have to pay more money. Gig workers aren't too thrilled about it because they get less orders, and customers aren't too happy about it because the cost of these changes have been put on them. And because the cost is put on them, that kind of creates the cycle of less orders overall. So with that said, we are talking about everything that's being said in this article, how it actually is for DoorDash, UberEats, and GrubHub drivers and customers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. On February 29th, Instacart sent an email with a link to a survey to its gig worker shoppers in Seattle. Its stated purpose: to figure out what its shoppers thought of the city's new law on gig work. You know, I knew that DoorDash, Uber Eats, and GrubHub weren't thrilled about it. I didn't expect to hear from Instacart. This is very interesting because I know that Instacart is very political in the way they handle things too. Like, if you ever dealt with their support teams, they'll put you through AI cycles. Sometimes you can call customer support, and other times they'll ghost you in the chat. But in this case, they're getting their hands involved. But in the preamble to the survey, Instacart indicated it already had thoughts about how things were going. Some shoppers are seeing a negative impact on earnings, limited service areas for batches, and decreased order frequency, the email read. That's why it's crucial we hear from you about how exactly these changes have influenced you and your work with Instacart. I haven't been in Seattle myself. I've never heard of anything that has been happening up there, but I know a lot of people are unhappy with it. Restaurants have to increase prices, knowing damn well that there's only so much customers are willing to pay for these things. Drivers are not seeing as many orders, and companies are having to pay more out of pocket. The survey is one example of how Instacart and DoorDash and other gig work companies have been pushing back on a law that took in effect in Seattle this past January. The law, one of multiple proposals known collectively as PayUp, most notably aims to increase delivery workers' pay to a rate comparable with Seattle's 1997 minimum wage. 1997 minimum wage per hour. This is exactly my point. You don't put an employee answer on a gig worker problem. This is why that needs to be looked at a more objective view. The gig economy is going to be here to stay. Let's just be real. More people are finding more success and more freedom in the gig economy. Those who are working from home, who are suddenly being pulled into the office, are looking for ways out. They're going to look into gig work, whether that is food delivery or otherwise, and they're not going to want to deal with this nonsense. And why would they? They had freedom. They don't want to lose it again. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be changes. I'm saying there needs to be the right type of changes. Changes that make sense for gig workers, not for employees. The companies lobbied against the proposal before the Seattle City Council, but they haven't given up on the fight just because they've become law. Some of the questions in Instacart's survey asked shoppers about how their earnings or wait times for orders have changed since the pay law took effect. Oh, this should be interesting. One asked shoppers whether they supported or opposed PayUp, but only after offering Instacart's own explanation in the previous questions about the law. That caught some workers' attention. Look, it's not surprising that they want to build a narrative around the questions that are being asked to try to get some bias in their mind. That's rather normal for a lot of corporations. But I love how they point it out in this article, but not when it's something like the TikTok ban or a normal W-2 job that has these surveys. Have you ever filled out one of those surveys that definitely are anonymous and then suddenly get called to the boss's office about how those surveys are actually going? Because they're definitely not anonymous. It's a load of nonsense, man. There were so many red flags in that survey, of course. I didn't want to bother to do it. One Instacart shopper who delivers orders in Seattle told Business Insider. The shopper shopper asked not to be identified for fear of having their Instacart account deactivated, but BI verified their employment and identity. Okay, first off, employment. That's kind of a red flag in itself. Business Insider is trying to develop the narrative in their own right. Second, I'm a firm believer in not taking surveys from these companies at all. Let your voice be known publicly, not privately. So that way, when these things happen, you have some sort of paper trail. The survey also asked shoppers whether they were waiting longer to claim orders to shop or earning more or less from Instacart customer tips. Even though Instacart itself plays a commanding role in determining both, the shopper told BI. After PayUp took effect, for instance, Instacart reduced the default tip on orders within Seattle to 0%. Before the law took effect, it was 5%. The survey also didn't mention that Instacart had increased fees for customers since the law took effect, the shopper said. So they reduced the tip on orders to 0%. They increased the fees, and they probably didn't increase the fees all for the driver. Such nonsense. Instacart may be shady as hell, and I may not be for this law, but you're doing the wrong thing too. So let's point that out too. On Wednesday, Instacart said that survey had garnered responses from more than 250 shoppers. The summary touted that the supermajority of shoppers in Seattle said their experience on the app had gotten worse since PayUp became law in January, with earnings down and wait times to claim orders up. 250 shoppers in Seattle. That seems rather low. Why does that feel really low? Why does this feel really bad? A staggering 82% said tips are down since PayUp took effect. The summary says, for example, without mentioning Instacart's change to its default tip in Seattle. Yeah, here's the thing that a lot of, and I'm not trying to be critical about this, a lot of shoppers don't do this, but you gotta really dive deep into what some of these companies are doing. Like, you gotta stay in the know. You gotta stay on the cutting edge, because you never know how much you're gonna be working on some of these platforms if these things take effect. You don't know how these things are going to affect you on the platform unless you're staying on the cutting edge. And you gotta find the best ways to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time in the safest possible way for that reason. A spokesperson for Instacart told Business Insider that the voice of shoppers is critical in helping to shape public policy across the country. And we regularly reach out to shoppers to understand their experience on the platform. In one survey, 72% of shoppers surveyed in Seattle told us their experience had been worse since the PayUp law took effect. Hey, you know what else has been worse on a more grander scale? The pay cut you gave us from $7 base pay to $4 base pay. Can you put that back? No? I mean, you said you're listening to the shoppers. Obviously, you're listening to me right now, right? And the many other shoppers that have been telling you this specifically. Still nothing? Yeah, okay. Elected officials, especially in Seattle, rely heavily on the voices of local constituents, including workers, businesses, and customers, to inform the direction of their policy proposals, they continued. Instacart will continue to listen to shoppers and help empower them to make their voices heard in important policy conversations. About a month later, in March, Instacart sent out another email to shoppers. While it didn't reference the survey, it did claim the company had heard from shoppers whose pay had gone down and who were waiting longer to claim batches of orders. It's clear that this new law isn't working, and unfortunately, this is exactly what we warned the council would happen, the email read. Hey, did you hear my voice about the base pay on a more grand scale? Did you hear that? No? Okay. The message included a link to a forum with a pre-written letter which pointed to many of the same issues that the survey had alluded to, including lower pay and wait times, and instructed shoppers to add their own experiences and then submit it to Instacart as a testimonial to the city council, because that definitely works every single time. Some shoppers posted the email on Reddit. One poster, who included screenshots of the message, encouraged other Instacart shoppers to turn the pre-written letter to the city council around. Instead, tell them to crack down on Instacart's retaliation, the post read, referring to the costs that the company has passed on to customers. I mean, that was gonna happen regardless. You think this is gonna come out of the CEO's pocket? Like, I love how people are like,
raise the minimum wage! Raise the minimum wage!
But what ends up happening is that it doesn't come out of the pocket of the CEO, it comes out of the pocket of the consumer. Because it's going to raise the price on their end, and it's going to then make it more expensive to live, and then it's going to be a huger issue overall.
But Joe, other countries have had a higher minimum wage overall. Why can't it work here?
Oh, you mean the cost of living crisis that the UK has been experiencing? You think it's just us? There are a lot of other countries that are having these same issues. This isn't new. The problem is you gotta make the law a little bit more refined if you're gonna do stuff like that. I actually removed some of the text and I rephrased it to say, thank you for passing PayUp, the Instacart shopper who spoke with BI said. One note about the whole retaliation thing though, I feel like a lot of gig companies are like that. The moment you criticize the way they do things, at the moment that they start to give you the worst of problems. I'll give you a great example of this. I just got deactivated from a platform called Veho. Veho chose not to reimburse me for returning a package and punished me for doing my job well. Meaning that I got a 6-hour route done in 4 hours. But they didn't want to pay me for the extra $25 or however much it would have been to return a package that was undeliverable. They not only punished me for efficiency, they are promoting package theft because if it's undeliverable, that package would have been mine, right? What I could have done was just take a picture of the package at the mailbox and they just would have said something along the lines of,
here's some tips about making sure your packages go to the right place.
That company was a load of garbage. And what did they do when I pointed that out? They silenced me and deactivated me. Now, I didn't sign any NDA, so I made a video all about it. But that's the kind of retaliation that happens on a regular basis within the gig economy. Those are the kind of protections gig workers need. Other companies have made their gig workers aware of their stance on Seattle's new law, even if they haven't issued calls to action like Instacart. About a week after Seattle's pay law took effect, DoorDash sent an email to its workers in Seattle that claims that Dashers would see fewer offers and wait longer to claim them. DoorDash also said in the message that they would end its Top Dasher and Priority Access programs in Seattle, both of which allowed delivery workers access to better paying batches if their metrics, such as customer ratings, are high enough. Actually speaking, Top Dasher and Priority Access wasn't really all that great either. So the fact that they ended it and just made Dash Now effective across the board, which Business Insider conveniently failed to mention, that was a good thing. Although yes, they are waiting longer for orders. These rules restrict platforms from rewarding high quality Dashers, the email read, referencing PayUp. You mean instead of trying to push some narrative and agenda, you have to play by the book? Oh my god. It's painfully clear from listening to Dashers, merchants, and consumers that this law simply isn't working, a DoorDash spokesperson told BI. The regulatory response fee in Seattle helps offset the costs associated with the current law, the spokesperson said. If those costs can be decreased enough through reform legislation, we will explore all options to increase affordability for consumers, including a reduction of the fee. Every company makes those claims, and none of them follow through. So honestly, I would call that cap right off the bat. UberEats and GrubHub have also put out statements saying that things have gotten worse for their gig workers since Seattle's law took effect. The companies have also added fees for consumers since PayUp took effect. DoorDash, for instance, has added a $4.99 charge to orders in Seattle, though nothing in the PayUp legislation required it. Because again, the fees aren't going straight out of the CEO's pockets. The legislation isn't affecting the CEO, it's affecting the businesses, it's affecting the gig worker, it's affecting the consumer. They're not feeling the same effects. Seattle's city council is considering significant changes to PayUp in hopes that companies will take away those fees, local news outlets reported in recent weeks. Anna Powell, a DoorDash government relations manager, told GeekWire in February that the company's goal was more ambitious. We would like to see a repeal in the ordinance, Powell said. So Seattle wants to adjust it to make it more fit for everybody, and DoorDash just doesn't want regulation altogether. How shocking. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. Business Insider is very obviously against the gig companies, and that's a fair stance to be on, but at the same time, it's not like the government is doing all the right things either. They're trying to add employee answers to gig worker problems. Sure, there are a lot of things that were really good about that bill that I really supported, but at the end of the day, it only hurt the businesses and the gig workers that are on the ground over there, rather than the companies in which they were trying to regulate. Is it possible that they can adjust the overall laws so that way it's a little bit more supportive for gig workers? Sure. But all of these gig companies are trying to fight the regulation as a whole, so I don't even think it's really gonna be all that helpful for us. But it just goes to show that a lot of these cities are not really trying to help gig workers. They're trying to help themselves. They're trying to break the problem more through this legislation. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be regulation, but the regulation needs to be fitting for a gig worker problem, not a employee problem. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Obviously, both parties are playing some political stance, whether it's Instacart through their surveys or Business Insider, with conveniently leaving out certain information, and DoorDash leaving out certain information. Because in reality, this has not been a positive experience for everybody involved. New York City is having the same problem, which is why the amount of gig workers in that overall area have been cut in half, from 122,000 to 60,000 or something like that in the New York City area alone in a 6-month period of time. And quite frankly, the only place that hasn't had an overall issue with this is California, where they imposed the same conceptual law, Prop 22, and people are still riding out there no problem. Then again, California is the 5th largest economy in America, so the way they do things is going to be very different from the rest of the world, but the facts are the facts. All in all, it is yet to be seen how this pans out. I hope this works out for gig workers long term, but right now I just don't see it. So I guess to be continued. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.